Welcome back. So in the previous session, we just get the basic idea of virtualization, in which we understand that virtualization is the process of boxing your physical components into virtual repositories. So for that purpose, we need an application. You know that in the IT world, every function will be performed by an application. So right now we are doing the virtualization. So for that purpose, we need also a major application, and this application is known as hypervisor. So when we talk about the hypervisor is an application that separates computer operating system and applications from underlying physical hardware. The hypervisor drives the concept of virtualization by allowing the physical host machine to operate multiple virtual machines as a guest to help maximize the effective use of computing resources such as memory, storage, and networking components. So here you can see that if here I can highlight it for you. Here you can see that we have a physical hardware, and on this physical hardware we installed an application which is called the hypervisor, and we have a number of vendors which introduces their own hypervisors. And when we talk about the vendors, there are two major vendors which are right now ruling the virtualization industry, and one of them is called the VMware, and the VMware hypervisor is simply called ESXi. Okay, so we installed this application or this hypervisor on this hardware. So this application which we installed over here is called the host application. So if I talk about the hypervisor plays the role of host, while when we talk about the virtual machines, these all virtual machines are considered as a guest. So right now in this scenario, our hardware is completely independent from these virtual machines or from these virtual repositories of our physical infrastructure. And this host application, which we called it hypervisor, is now working as a translator for building the repositories of the physical infrastructure of this machine. So hypervisor is generally called as a host, while the machines which we create with the help of this hypervisor are called the guest machines. So by that means, this whole virtualization infrastructure is operational in the IT industry and working perfectly. Whenever our physical infrastructure having any issues, we can transfer or we can migrate all these virtual machines to other newer hardware, and they don't care about the compatibility issues, because they have nothing or they have totally unaware about the hardware information. So that's why when we migrate these virtual machines to the new hardware, they operational they working perfectly, or they perform all the functions as they are performing on the previous hardware. So when we talk about the hypervisors, here you can see that now let me remove this. So I remove the previous one. Here you can see that now hypervisor have the capability to create this virtual repository of the physical components in the form of compute, storage, networking, and security. So virtualization uses software which we known as the hypervisor to create an abstraction layer over the computer hardware that allows the hardware elements of a single computer like processor, memory, storage, and more to be divided into multiple virtual computers or multiple virtual machines, and each VM runs its own operating system independently. So in that way, our virtualization technology is working smoothly related to their physical components or related to their computer storage and networking which we are using in our infrastructure. So I hope that you get the basic concept of the hypervisor. So this hypervisor have the capability to create software defined data centers. So when your machines when your virtual machines are created by a software, so they have completely independent infrastructure related to the hardware. So now in upcoming session we are going to understand the types of hypervisor, and we will also discuss the ruler of this industry like VMware, like Microsoft, like Sang4, like other vendors which are producing their own hypervisors to facilitate this virtualization industry.